So let's get into the probable cause here. So the NARA fraud, guys, okay? As we know, the National Records Place referred to this to the Department of Justice. So on February 9, 2022, the special agent in charge of the NARA's Office of the Inspector General sent the NARA referral via email to DOJ. So this is a big deal, guys. The special agent in charge of the NARA's Office of Inspector General. So what is the Office of Inspector General, guys? The Office of Inspector General oversees government agencies to make sure that there's not waste, fraud, and abuse. The fact that they referred it to the Department of Justice tells me they're like, okay, this is way too big for us. We don't have the capacity to go after the President of the United States. We got to give this to DOJ. All right. The NARA referral stated that according to NARA's White House Liaison Division Director, a preliminary review of the 15 boxes indicated that they contain newspapers, magazines, printed news articles, photos, miscellaneous printouts, notes, presidential correspondence, personal and post-presidential records, and a lot of classified records. Of most significant concern was the highly classified records were unfolded, intermixed with other records, and otherwise improperly identified. Okay.
So it's saying that there's a bunch of crazy documents, some of which are different classification levels, right? And they're just thrown in. Once again, it's painting a picture of, Trump kind of running out of the White House with, boxes of random ass documents, whatever he could grab, shoving it in 15 boxes and kind of running out. Painting a very interesting picture here.
They definitely are.
Whether that's true or not, and mind you, this is the government's document, right? Yes. So this is the picture the government wants to paint here. This is the picture that the government wants to paint. We're not saying whether this is true. In fact, the government can paint a picture that it can be entirely untrue or can misrepresent or can be an exaggeration of what the reality is, right? So, but this is the government's affidavit. This is something that was filed by, once again, the FBI and the prosecutor. So this is their position.
Bam. Well said, man. On February 18, 2022, the archivist of the United States Chief Administrator, hold on, let me enlarge this for y'all so you can see the full document. Okay. On February 18, 2022, the archivist of the United States Chief Administrator for NARA stated in a letter to Congress's Committee on Oversight and Reform Chairwoman, the Honorable Carolyn B. Maloney, NARA had ongoing communications with representatives of the former President Trump throughout 2021, which resulted in the transfer of 15 boxes to NARA in January 2022. NARA has identified items marked as classified national security information within the boxes. The letter also stated, because NARA identified classified information in the boxes, NARA staff has been in communication with the Department of Justice. The letter was made publicly available to the following uniform resource locator. I didn't even know that's what URL stood for.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Oh,
yeah, I didn't know that. And then they put the link here.
That's some FBI shit. That's some FBI shit, spelling out URL.
Yeah, and they have to do that in the affidavit. For the first time, they always spell it out, and then they acronym it after. I remember doing that myself. On February 18, 2022, the same day, the Save America Political Action Committee, PAC, posted the following statement on behalf of the former president. The National Archives did not find anything they were given upon request presidential records in an ordinary and routine process to ensure the preservation of my legacy and in accordance with the Presidential Records Act. An image of the statement is below. So see how they're trying to lock Trump into a statement here?
Yep.
Statement by the Donald Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. And you can't really read it here. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose here. But basically, it's summarizing what he said, which is the National Archives did not find anything they were given upon request presidential records in an ordinary and routine process to ensure the preservation of my legacy in accordance with the Presidential Records Act, right? And here it is. Then
that's the damning. So the point is that statement is the damning part, is the part they're using against him from that email. So the rest of that is kind of irrelevant for the purposes of this affidavit.
Exactly. So this part right here, this is where me and Andrew, I guess, can speculate. All right. As you can see, more and more redactions. Okay, and then it goes, boxes containing documents were transported from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. So what do you think this is right here, Andrew? These paragraphs right here.
This is going to be specifically relating to those documents, to what they speculate those documents are, the confidential information as part of those documents, and of course, how they would know that those are potentially confidential documents, which I think you can agree might fall under sources and methods. As to the way those documents were created or retained, and what might actually be in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think more than likely this right here, guys, what you're seeing, all these redactions, this is probably details of what those documents more than likely are, the classification levels, and the issues that could arise if they were discovered. Because remember, guys, these guys had looked in the boxes and seen what was in there to a degree. So they're fairly familiar with what was more than likely in there. So this right here probably has to do with the nature of the documents, and then also probably has some kind of sensitive information potentially on how they found out that they ended up at Mar-a-Lago. Because as you guys can see here, boxes containing documents were transported to the White House from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. So more than likely, this also has some kind of sensitive info as to how the FBI knew that they were going, that they went to Mar-a-Lago in the first place. Okay, someone might have tipped them off about these boxes that we're about to read here.
Yeah, so, and you can kind of say the one way I would say, Myron, and tell me if you mean you've seen a lot of these as well.
Yeah.
When you look at the headers, right, and then you see how the headers are progressing. So the first header, if we kind of go
let me go back up,
right. So if you go back up, the first header is the NRA referral. So you know that everything within that paragraph relates to the NRA, relates to how the NRA knew about those documents, relates to how the NRA knew those were classified. Then it deals with the transportation from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. So okay, that's related to that paragraph. And then you go over provision of the boxes to the NRA. Yeah. So that once again, that's how does the NRA know that those boxes contain classified information and what is in those boxes?
Yeah, and that's how me and Andrew are pretty much able to figure this out, guys. Because remember, in an affidavit, right, you have to outline all your evidence. Like when you outline your evidence, a lot of the time it's going to be done in a chronological sense. Okay, so on this day this happened, then on this day this happened, then on this day this happened, and it makes sense, and it goes from from oldest to most recent, and then as you continue on in the affidavit, it becomes more and more recent. But you always go from A to B to C to D to how you got your evidence. So, I would say an educated guess between the two of us, in our professional opinion, is that more than likely these redactions have to do with the nature of the documents, what type of documents they were, classification of said documents, and how NARA knew about the documents, and then most importantly, how they knew that they were going to be transported to Mar-a-Lago. Because as you guys can see here next, what do we go into? We go into boxes containing documents were transported from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. These portions of the affidavit right here, more than likely, could even potentially have a source at the NARA who gave the FBI this information in particular. Because more than likely, they would need an eyewitness, right, to be able to tell them, I saw document A, I saw document B, I saw document C, et cetera, et cetera. So they don't want these witnesses from NARA to be identified. Okay.
And that was one of the reasons that was stated by the court for only the partial unsealing of these documents was they did not want to mess with their witnesses. And they said, hey, if we at this point unseal this, the witnesses are not going to have confidence to actually testify at the trial or at the indictment, right? They're going to say, hey, we don't trust the government. And there's going to be a lot of angry people writing these guys if they figure out who they are. And I guarantee you, by the way, some of these people that are their sources and their informants probably identify or say the Republicans. I'll put it that way.
Yep. And for some of you guys that are wondering, again, guys, NARA stands for the National Archive Records Administration, right? Is that what it was?
Yes, National Records Administration.
Yeah. So they're basically, guys, it's the people that take the records for the president. All right. It's not to be confused with NRA. I know some of you guys are like, wait, what are we talking about? NRA? It's not the NRA, guys. All right. It's not the NRA guns. No, this is not guns.
It's actually the full name is National Archives and Records Association.
There we go. My bad.
So NARA, so National Archives and Records Administration.
Yeah, guys, not to be confused with NRA and weapons. No, that's not what we're talking about. Boxes, because I see some people in chat are getting confused. They might have tuned in a little bit later. We defined all these acronyms earlier, guys, but that's what it stands for. Okay, so boxes contain documents were transported from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. According to a CBS Miami article titled "Moving Truck Spotted at Mar-a-Lago," published Monday, January 18, 2021, and at least 2 moving trucks were observed at the premises on January 18, 2021. So very interesting here. Of course, they're going to put this out there because it's public information, guys. They don't give a shit about putting this out because it's already probably out there. Hell, it might be even on YouTube. Let me try to see if I can search it here. Andrew, can you hold on? Let me. Okay.
Yeah, because the point is, and one thing you got to notice too, as you go down through this document, there's actually on the next page, I believe, the next page, Myron, just scroll down one little page there. You can see, there you go. There's images. So you're going to see a couple. When you see a large black box here, that's going to be an image. You're going to see a couple of these throughout the entire thing. So clearly they had some sort of photo potentially of the document or of the document, maybe of the documents being transported, right? Because this section particularly is about moving them from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. So they might have a fucking picture of the actual boxes being moved there. So that might be there. Also down there's when you scroll down, you can see there's more photos as well on page 16.